Now today, with the assembly of our FZR all in one piece, we have one little thing left to do here, and it probably will take the better part of a day. I want to change the shocks and the carburetor springs on the RD. And it was the end of 800 hours of work, and we're ready for some test riding as soon as the weather's appropriate, and as soon as we get a block of time. Time has been of the essence lately. And like all of the bikes that I've ever restored, it has now taken its place in my, well, I don't know, family, I guess is the right word. My children. All of my children laying around here, laying around on welfare or whatever they're doing here. But I do love them all. It's certainly an unusual collection, one that I really treasure, one that I try to share with my friends and all the people on YouTube that enjoy watching this type of entertainment. And of course, the ones that we've bought brand new, and we've enjoyed every minute of every one of these bikes. I really think, and even though this is, well, it's not a big collection, but there's certainly a lot of my man hours tied up in this garage. And today we need to spend some time getting our RD ready for the big summer ahead. Now Luciano got me this set of shocks. I'm not sure they're going to be a bolt-on, snap-on, but I do have a bunch of extra bushings. And since one of the objectives I have, I wanted to get the bike running really in summer mode. Let's leave it at that. What I always do in the winter, the first winter ride I go on, I raise the needles one notch just to make sure I'm not going to run it lean, because we do run the bike hard. And I've been satisfied, I guess, with these shocks, but again, they're nothing that I can't live without, and I like the way the other ones look. And I have plenty of shock springs to swap out if they are too soft, too hard, and Luciano also has, of course, he's got them on his Cafe Racer. In this bike, I put the little Yamaha logos on the discs. It's kind of an evil twin looking thing. They both have the similar wheels, similar ladder paint jobs, kind of semi-evil twins. So the first thing, as you can imagine, it's pretty crowded in this garage, and it's not going to get less crowded. I've got to figure a way to make myself some working room here. Now, one of the things I wanted to do in the near future is meet with Najat or with our neighbor Sarah, who's a professional photographer. You get some really professional pictures. In the meantime, I've done my own little photo shoot to share with our friends, because a lot of them haven't seen the bike in one piece yet. And I've got a lot of, well, a lot of people that said, hey, I haven't seen it, how'd you? Well, that's how it is. So, but having these two together is the first time. A little evil twin package here. Evil Junior and Evil Senior. That's a good way to put it. Anyway, one of the things that's a little bit of a pain in the neck with an RD that you take the center stand off is jacking it up to do work like removing a tire, or in this case removing a shock. So I have a little system I use with a rod. I also could use the come along that I have, among other things, but for today I think we'll just get the jack out. So this is today's project, and again I got these from Luciano as a gift. I've got the wrenches to adjust the spring tension, I've got the extra bushings, and I've got a set of new carburetor springs. These springs, the ones that are on the bike, are 42 years old, and it's kind of getting that they don't return just the way they should. I figured a new set of springs would be either $3, by the way. A good investment in getting the bike to idle the way I want, and of course run the way I want for the whole summer. Because I have to take the carbs, pull the tops off the carbs to do the needles, and it's just a convenient time to do that. So we got a nice little project to work on today, and we'll see how the weather plays out, maybe even a short ride. So this might be useful information. I made up this piece of threaded rod that goes through the hole that the original center stand sat on. You can't really use the center stand with the tuned pipes, but now the jack jacks that up conveniently, and I'm able to get the back wheel off the ground so I can do this change out. So with the motorcycle jacked up, the next step is going to be, of course, loosen the old shocks, take them off, and then of course I've got the shocks, you can't take, realistically, can't take one off at a time. I've got to get them both off so I can raise and lower the wheel to see if those bushings are going to fit. Now, they give you the extra bushings. Well, we're going to see if it's our lucky day. Now, pretty straightforward taking the shocks off. This part of it should be pretty easy. Then it gets a little difficult because I've got to be able to raise and lower the wheel while I do this, well, this part of it. Can be tricky, and it's always really good if right now you have a helper. Guess what? No helper. And of course things like this, where you needed a helper, well, sometimes it's your lucky day, sometimes it's not. And this is something that I think is worth mentioning. I have my ordinary stick, an old microfiber with plenty of detailing wax on it. Anytime I have the back wheel off the bike that I can spin it, it makes cleaning all these little nooks and crannies just normal maintenance, I guess. And while we have the back wheel off the bike, we'll of course check the chain, get it ready. The whole idea of this project today is get this bike ready for a summer ride. Now this bike is relatively maintenance free. You never have to do an oil change. You just got to keep topping it off. But anyway, the point is, every spring I like to do at least a thorough cleaning and look around for anything starts to look like it's needing to be replaced. And of course, the biggest thing, we're going to change our shocks out today. But anytime I have that back end up off the ground, I want to get that back wheel clean, because what happens with a back wheel, it gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, and at some point in time it's just a horror to clean it. If you maintain it, if you do the maintenance constantly, it's never that big of a deal to keep it clean. So the preliminary fitting here is that this bushing is too big. I'll have to measure this with a mic. Maybe that you don't need that bushing at all. And if it is, we got to just take it down and press it out. Most of the time you can take a pair of needle nose pliers and a rubber hammer. There's always an easy way to do it. And just pound that bushing out. And now we have no bushings, and that's probably the size it's going to need. Because they make these bushings all different sizes, and I always save these. They're useful for other things, just making general parts that you may need on a future restoration. And when we do this restoration, I would like to have as many spare parts as possible. Now just the easiest way I know of to do this is, rather than trying to compress all these springs, just take both shocks off. And of course, because all these bolts have Loctite on them, they don't just pop right off. So what I try to do here is take the weight with the bottom of my feet, pick up on this as I pull a shock off. And that allows you to get the shock off and the old bushings. I feel the bushings just falling out all over the place. And of course, while I have this apart, it's easy to get in there now and clean this side of the back wheel. Clean up the chain, the sprocket, get everything cleaned up before we put the shocks back on. It really is lucky for us that these look like they're going to be a perfect fit in every way. And that we don't even need these bushings, but before I put these back on, I'll put a little dab of wheel bearing grease there. I'm not sure you need that. I'm not sure it's not overkill, but it can't hurt. Here, the tricky part here is to get the back wheel, where if you have a helper, of course, it's real easy. I try to raise this up and down with my foot. Once you get one on, the second one, of course, is a lot easier. Let's see if this is going to go right on. There we go. Easy, easy peasy, even without a helper. Where's Luciano when you need him? Now before I put any of the hardware back, I want to run it down to the polishing wheel, buff this up, make it all nice and pretty. Now I was thinking before I go and polish these up, maybe I have some that don't have any scratches on them, or some that are, that one's shot. Here's a nice clean one, so at least I can put these aside. You never have too much hardware, that's for sure. So here's really a little bit of a before and after. I'm not sure which one you would prefer. I think Luciano would probably want that one on his bike. Only takes a second or two, and they're clean as a whistle. Little details always seem to make all the difference. Now with the nice cleaned up hardware, a couple of drops of blue Loctite. We're ready to set the spring rate on these. This should be pretty straightforward. We have the tool, they give you the tool with the shocks. Alright, everything fits perfectly, everything buttons up nice. I got exactly a 1/64 of an inch of clearance on both sides, so they were made to fit an RD pretty well. Now, setting the springs, we'll just roughly set them in the garage, but I'll take the tools with me next time we ride, and it's really not a big deal to get the spring sag pretty close. And we can do that probably on a future video. We'll deal with that. Haven't done that in a long time. This would be a good opportunity to do it, but we can't ride today. We got a storm going through here today, a windstorm of all things. It's just a mess, and I'm glad I got this done today. Now, adjusting these shocks, relatively straightforward, but the first thing I want to take an ink marker. Since we have 10 turns of adjustment, in other words, I can take the nut that's going to set the spring sag and go around 10 times. So it would make sense to me, since we don't know and I haven't ridden a bike with these shocks, to go about halfway. Set it on 5 turns. When you get the shocks, they give you the special tools that you need, and it's pretty straightforward how you do this. Now I put that ink marker there. That was Luciano's idea, but I'm sure he's not used it before. It's not unique to these shocks. So as I go around, I'll count the turns. I'd like to be right in the middle to start with. And then I can take these tools with me on the road and go to 6, go to 7. Now that's 1. I'm at the dot. So obviously this is pretty straightforward. And when we get to the end of this, it'll be pretty simple. I'll take this, hold this bottom nut with 1 wrench and tighten the top nut, which is just a locking nut, and then anybody can figure that out. Hard for me to see this, I'm in the front here. And this nut will just screw down and be the locking nut. Pretty straightforward, not much different than any other really nice shock. And if nothing else, these look dynamite. Well, once I have that, this I can usually just snug that up, hold this one with this. Again, I got to be a little bit of an acrobat here and tighten these. Okay, we're good to go. Our final installation was a piece of cake, and I know there's plenty more adjustment there. It actually feels, the dampening feels pretty much exactly like the old shocks. Not that they were something special anyway. But anyway, we have run out of time. The baby is coming over, and Glenn is supposed to stop by tomorrow to do some tire changing, and I want to have the deck clear for him. So what I'm going to do is do the carb springs and the needles the next time we get a session here. Well, boy, this was a nice productive day getting these shocks on. Anything we can do to upgrade these bikes without spending a lot of money, or in this case, thanks to Luciano, no money at all. That, by the way, is the best price ever. I found that hard to beat. Anyway, we love our RD, we love our FZR, we love our family. What else is there to say? So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we're going to be two-stroking up a storm here pretty soon. And thanks for watching.